Hello and welcome. Thank you for watching. Now today I went to a first aid course and I wore this t-shirt. Yeah. And it had a surprising effect. I don't know whether it was a t-shirt or whether it was something else, but actually only the person sat next to me dared ask me what happened. And then when he did that, the person taking the course got involved and got quite interested in the whole thing. And actually ex-nurse and ex-paramedic and did not know that the calf muscle is wrapped around the end of the leg and that the front then back becomes the front. But anyway, what I want to talk to you today about is something that I realized today that I didn't realize before about myself actually, and that is incomplete. I am not totally okay with this. Now, all of the brazen t-shirts and all that jazz, you might find that quite surprising, but this came to light really today as a result of being in a first aid course with everybody else. Now, here is what I mean. To begin with, no, I don't like being different. Now, I have worn these t-shirts all the way through to promote conversation. But that does not mean that I'm totally okay with this. In fact, I find it really, I feel really self-conscious actually about being different. I had to get someone to go into the first aid training room and bring the course leader out to ask how I was actually going to get in the building. There was parts of the first aid building I couldn't get the chair in through the doors. Lucky I took the crutches with me too. But everybody else, there was quite a big crowd and it was like obvious that I was different, and it may just have been a coincidence, but she started with me, tell me who you are and what you do. And it's never really bothered me before, but for some reason it bothers me at the moment. I've signed up 2 new personal training clients at work recently and they didn't care, but I feel really self-conscious about it. I feel like I've got to make an explanation when people sort of ask me a question or whatever, and the self-consciousness is made worse by the fact that some people constantly ask, do you need help? Now, I know it's just being polite and I'd rather that than points and stares, but you don't ask a random stranger that's somewhere else in the room that's got 2 arms and legs, do you need help? You just wouldn't. So I actually prefer if you don't. Now, I'll give you 2 examples. I went out of the training room because the district nurse came round to change the dressings on my leg because of what had happened yesterday. At the doctor's, they just put a covering back over it, but she wanted to put a proper treatment over the wounds. That hadn't been done. So she came in the back door. I heard her come in and I got up to go and leave and let her do it. Now, the person leading the course knew that I'd already spoke to her beforehand, so she knew what was happening, and she was an ex-nurse, so she knew exactly what was happening, and off I went. And when I came back in, I left on crutches and came back in on crutches because the rest of the building's difficult to access in the wheelchair. I left the wheelchair in the place where the chair should have been if I was sitting on a chair. And when I went back into the room, obviously it's the only door in and out, so everybody's facing the trainer and my seat's right on the end and the door that exits the room's next to her. So everybody's facing me when I come back in the door. And the person that was sat next to me said, do you need help? No. I can walk through the door and shut the door and sit down on a chair, perfectly fine. I know he didn't mean offence, but it sort of felt a little bit like, well, I'm not, might be slightly different, but I'm not that incapable. Equally, later on in the morning, I went next door to make coffee. Now, I had my super mug with the lid on it that I usually carry between my knees, and I was on the crutches. So obviously I could not carry the hot coffee whilst on the crutches. So I was making the coffee, I filled the coffee, put the lid on the coffee and all that sort of thing. And some other people in the kitchen were there with me. And one guy said, must be quite tricky carrying that on crutches. And I said, yeah, actually, it is quite tricky. So if you don't mind, would you just carry that back through for me? And he said, sure. Now, I'd rather it be that way than, do you need help with that? I know it's a little subtle difference, and maybe I'm just being a little bit touchy, but do you see what I'm trying to say? I'd rather be independent, and I'm already feeling self-conscious, so please don't stare and point and all that sort of thing. If I'm wearing the t-shirt, I'm wanting you to ask me the question. But I don't want to be treated like I'm special or different, because I already feel special and different, and you're just exaggerating the problem. Number two, I hate being treated differently. So this means people being extra over nice and wanting to push you along when you didn't even ask them to, and wanting to carry stuff when you didn't even ask them to. Random strangers especially, that are going extra and over and on top of, when actually, I'm fine. It's happened a few times at work as well. I've been getting out of the car. Do you need help? No, I'm fine. Now I know it's just people being polite, and like I said previously, but really, you wouldn't ask someone, they need to be helped across the road when they've obviously got 2 legs and 2 arms. Why am I different? If I need help, I would ask, like the person with the coffee cup. But if I don't need help, then I'm not going to ask. So don't just butt in and assume that I do, because it's really annoying. The one thing I'm going to do when I can change this wheelchair is get rid of those handles, because I find it really annoying when people just feel like you need to be pushed. Now, sometimes I might want to be and I might ask, but don't just invite yourself in and think that I need help when I don't, because it can feel quite offensive, especially if you're disabled and you're trying to be normal and you're trying to be proactive and help yourself and, get back into the community and do all the things that you used to be able to do and normalize your life, and then everybody keeps highlighting the differences. It can get a little bit wearing, and it does affect your mental health if you are the disabled person, especially if you're not feeling okay about being disabled. Number 3, I hate being stared at. Now, this does not happen so much when I'm wearing the t-shirt, but the t-shirt that I think is going to get the most wear out of me is the one that says, "Keep staring, I might do a trick." Now, I'm going to wear that. I'm going to take that with me to Dunedin, because so often I'm out and around and I get stared at. I went from the limb centre to the coffee shop with the bandages on, to wait for 30 minutes to see whether the leg was going to shrink enough. And the whole time I was getting stared at. Have you never seen someone with 1 leg before? It's not like I've got 3 legs or an ear growing out of my shoulder or whatever. Is there a need for you to stare? If you want to ask me a question, please ask me a question, but don't stare and point and talk behind your mouth and that sort of thing. That is just rude, and it makes me feel bloody awful, to be honest, and anybody else who's disabled. So please don't stare. I hate the fact that all those simple little things that I used to be able to just take for granted now all take 10 times longer. So, for example, hanging the washing out. I have to be directly under the line with the chair, and I have to have pegs and basket and everything at hand, and I can only stand up and hang a couple of things at once, where I have to sit down and move along, stand up, and then when it comes to socks and underwear, and oh my god, the amount of single legs pistol squats that I'm doing just to hang the washing out, it takes me about 9 times longer. When I'm trying to get around the bedroom, because my house has not been adapted, it's not very wheelchair friendly. I can only get the wheelchair halfway around the bedroom. So I've got to go in the bedroom in one direction, shut the door behind me, do a U-turn and go in backwards, because I can't do it any other way. I can't get around the side of the bed, so I've got to get out of the wheelchair, sit on that side of the bed, get back in the wheelchair, go around the other side of the bed, and it's just all really a pain in the ass. I can't just nip to the coffee shop. Well, yeah, that's the one thing that's really annoying me right now, because I can nip to somewhere else as long as I've got a rucksack, but if I want to nip in somewhere to get a coffee, there ain't no coffee happening with nipping, because I don't have any hands at the moment, because I'm on crutches. Now, I've got to say, the crutches has made jumping into the bank and all them sorts of things slightly quicker, but still, it's a mission. If I want to go somewhere, I've got to go out the front door, down the ramp, I've got to take the crutches with me, take the wheelchair with me, put everything into the car, crutches round to the door, and all of that jazz. My car's got to now be parked in the other way. I've got to go into the garage backwards because there's too much of a lip in the garage. I've got a gravel drive, which is a pain in the right royal ass, so sometimes I have to use my foot as well. All that just to get out of the house. I've got to sit down in the shower, which means I've got to do the shower in a certain way, and I'm really scared about the shower because the stool I've been given is not that secure. Paranoid about falling over. I can't sit on very low things because I can't get back up again. Getting off the floor is something I still haven't mastered. All the things that you just don't think of. Washing up. Now, it's taken me 5 weeks to be able to stand and do the cooking and do the washing and not have to sit down a million times. Have you ever tried doing all of that, standing on one leg? No, I bet you haven't. It's just all a bit of a mission, and I'm just not ready to accept the fact that that's my new life. I know there's nothing I can do about it, but it doesn't make me feel any better all the same. I just feel a little bit annoyed about it all, and I'm just not ready to accept it because it's a bit sort of meh. I have also found that I do feel a little bit of resentment for all of the things that I've lost. So, and I think I'm a little bit more, less tolerant of certain things. So, for example, when people complain that they've got a sore foot, well, at least you got 2 bloody feet. I only have 1. When there's like going tramping. So I was sitting next to somebody who lives on Stewart Island. So there's no way that I could go to Stewart Island just now because, because Stewart Island is mostly all tramping and there's not many roads. There's no way I'd get round very far in a wheelchair at all, apart from the jetty to the bar maybe, and that's about all. I used to just go yomping up Forest Hill whenever I felt a bit annoyed. There's no way that I'm going to do that right now. I can't go swimming. There's so many things that I used to just take for granted that I just can't do anymore at the moment. Now, I'm not sure if I'll restore all of that. I'm hoping a lot for this leg, but I know that's a long way down the line. I know the leg is like shoes. I won't be able to wear it all the time. I'll have to wear it in. It will wear out. I'll have it off and on and all them jazz. And the one goal that I had that I'm never going to be able to achieve now is racing at age group level again. Because I can't race at the level against able-bodied athletes. I have to be in the para-triathlon category. Now, that's really getting to me just now, and there's nothing I can do about it. So, yeah, I know you say suck it up, buttercup, but this thing is taking a bit of getting used to, and I'm doing my best to put a positive spin on it, but I don't always feel positive. And the last one, and this really came to light the other day, I'm still feeling quite resentful of all of the people that have put me in this position. Now, I did explain a wee while back, I'll put a comment below as to which number of these blogs it was that I mentioned what happened to the leg. But I have been told a number of times that I should take this issue to the Health and Disability Commission and try for policy change and try for mediation and get people to apologise for the mistakes they made. Now, I'm not interested in, I'm not interested in an apology, because you can say sorry all you like, it's not going to change the fact that I lost my leg. But I do want people to admit fault. I do want to make sure that it gets to the top and it's considered for policy change, because I've spoken to a lot of people where vascular signs have been missed and serious medical complications have risen from this. And I feel really annoyed about the fact that this is now my new life, forever and ever, amen, and you've changed my life forever just because somebody made a cock-up and didn't see past their own little rosy-tinted office. So that, I haven't addressed that yet, and I spoke to somebody from the Health and Disability Commission Advocacy just the other day, because I know that I need to get it underway and I need to do it whilst it's still fresh in my mind. But yeah, I'm not sure I'm ever going to accept the fact that somebody's mess up has actually led to me losing my leg. And I'm not sure that somebody and his mates or her mates are ever going to realise exactly the gravity of what has actually happened. And I'm horrified to learn this happens way too much. And you can say sorry all you like and you can give me some compensation. Well, yeah, that would be nice because of all of the financial burden it's put on me. But it's never going to change anything. The damn leg is not going to grow back. And my life is not going to be the same ever again. So there's a lot of things that I realised today just by sitting in that little Red Cross first aid room that I just haven't accepted just yet. And when you're dealing with somebody who's become newly disabled, I need you to realise that there's a lot of stuff still going on for them, even if they're putting out a nice, friendly exterior, because there's just a lot of stuff you've got to deal with. And I'm just not okay with it all just yet. And not being okay is okay as well. But I just needed to address it because a lot of people keep saying, oh, you know, you're really brave and you're so positive. And yes, well, it's the only way that you can be. There's no way of me mooching about it, but it still doesn't mean that I'm okay with it all, because I'm just not. So if you're dealing with disabled people, please don't point and stare. Please don't make them feel different. Just treat them like anyone else. If they need your help, they'll ask for it. And appreciate the fact that their mind might not yet be okay with it all. And for some people, they might never be okay with it all. I can't tell you what's going to happen down in the future. I'm going to keep on trying to push my goals to accept this new norm as best I can. But I can't tell you whether I'm ever going to be 100% okay with this because, well, it was never my fault in the first place. And unless I get some type of compensation, some type of mediation and some policy change at government level, maybe I'll never be okay with it. And that's a high ask, all those three things. And I'm not sure if it will ever happen. But just be kind to disabled people, but not too kind, because they don't want to be felt any more special than they already do. So thank you for bearing with us. Thank you for treating us all the same. And thank you for watching. And I will see you again real soon.